Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Cage Talk. Thank you guys for listening. Today, I have an MMA fighter who's fought in the UFC, has fought in Pride, was also in K1, who is also one of the top-ranked contenders in the world for professional arm wrestling. We have, ladies and gentlemen, Gary Big Daddy Goodridge. How you doing today, sir?
I'm excellent. You missed one thing. I'm the currently the IVC Super Heavyweight Champion, still today.
To this day.
To this day, and out of Brazil.
Well, I do apologize for missing that, but again, there he is, Gary Goodridge, man. You have a laundry list of things and accomplishments, man. I mean, I was looking at your kickboxing record and seeing some of those fights, and then your MMA record. You are the original. You are the OG in the UFC. I mean, you have like the Mark Coleman. You have Royce Gracie, the ones that started in the very beginning. And I believe your debut for UFC was UFC 8, if I'm mistaken. Please.
Yes. Perfect.
Yeah, right. So again, the sport has changed a lot since you've been gone. But again. I appreciate you coming on, and just to talk a little bit about your background. Before anything, I just wanted to get this out of the way. Big Daddy, how did that nickname come about? Was that like something that, you get a couple of nicknames in your career, and then you're like, I'm going to go with that one. Let's ride with that one. Usually there's a story, or maybe a female's like, oh, Big Daddy, and you're like, yep, I'm going with that. That's my nickname.
Oh, what happened was I was looking for a nickname because at the time everybody had a nickname. Why didn't I have one?
Yeah.
So I was asking a bunch of friends of mine at work, what should I use? What nickname? What thing? And somebody, a friend of mine, Cobra, he's an arm wrestler, he came up and he said, how about Big Pimp Daddy? And then I dropped the pimp. I'll take the Big Daddy because I was reading a lot about Big Daddies in the NFL and stuff. I said, yeah, I'll take Big Daddy. And that's how it all started.
Oh, look at that. And We'll definitely go into arm wrestling and stuff like that, because that's something that kind of surprised me. I was like, oh man, and the preparation that goes into, I guess, arm wrestling. But I wanted to talk. What was your first introduction into MMA? Again, you started it. You were one of the very first ones, like Ken Shamrock, Mark Coleman, Royce Gracie. I mean, you were involved in all those. So what kind of led you into MMA?
Friends of mine, as I said, I was working at the car plant, and friends of mine after work would say, yeah, you got to get together and watch this thing, man. Guys are breaking each other's arms and doing this and doing that, jumping off the cage. I said, whoa, it doesn't sound like anything I want to do, but of course I'm the biggest guy in the crowd.
Uh-huh.
And so we go back to this guy's house and he's watching these things till like 4 o'clock in the morning, watching all these fights. And before it ended, it had a little you want a UFC paraphernalia, call this number. Well, before it ended, they started calling around. Yeah, we got a guy that wants to go in it. And at the time, I didn't want nothing to do with it, but it was bravado that, but it didn't make me say, yeah, I don't want to do that.
Uh-huh.
So they got me into it. They called. They kept on calling numbers, and they got a hold of Art Davies. I call him my father today. He was the matchmaker of the UFC back then.
Really?
As a matter of fact, he invented the UFC. So he was the matchmaker. And got a hold of Art Davies, and he said, Gary Goodridge, he says, you're that arm wrestling guy. He said, you beat a whole bunch of people. And he said, yeah, well, you know what, UFC got a home for you. You spoke well. And I guess they were getting a lot of bad press. And I spoke well at the time. And they said, yeah, UFC's got a place for you. And before you know it, that week they followed up, and they asked me, you want to fight UFC 8? I said, oh, it's a David and Goliath tournament. I said, well, who am I? The David or Goliath? He said, well, you're a Goliath, and you'll be fighting a David. I said, okay, that's good. I can do that. I can beat a little guy.
That's crazy that UFC would that they kind of like promoted like that after the show. Like there was a number to call and stuff, just so you can try to join. There was no tryouts or nothing. It was just basically a phone interview.
No tryouts, just a phone. Not even interviews. And yeah, you spoke well. You look good. Come on in.
Wow. And you were doing arm wrestling before that? I didn't know that.
I did 15 years from 15 to 30.
Oh,
From
wow.
15 from the age 15 to 30, I did arm wrestling.
Wow.
I was very avid. I was won like 11 world championships, North American championship, Canadian championship. I went all over the world arm wrestling. My best thing that I done in arm wrestling, the Japanese called me up one night. I was sleeping at home, and the phone rang because it's noon over there.
Uh-huh.
And they called, Gary Goodridge. I said, yeah. He said, would you like to fight in a tournament over here? I said, well, where's this? He said, we have a tournament coming up. We'd like you to arm wrestle. I said, arm wrestle? So I said, I want you to arm wrestle 100 guys. I said, 100 guys? I said, yeah, no problem. I can do that. Well, how much you paying me? They said, well, how much do you want?
Wow.
And I said, well, pay for my trip and pay for somebody else to come with me. Make sure you feed me, and I don't know, $1,000 a day. I didn't know what to charge.
Yeah.
So I got over there and I played. I went for it was a game show that was done at New Year's Eve.
Okay.
So I went over there and I beat the 100 guys, and I got foul shit money. I can't remember. It must have been 10,000 or something stupid like that. But at the time, 10,000
Was what?
US, and it was always US money.
Mm-hmm.
Was time and a half. Right?
Okay.
So you got a lot of money. So I came back and I got a lot of money. Well, when I came back, then I had this other company call me. Kerry, would you know when I was at I came back and we had the one, and then the very next year they called me again. And after that one company called me, about a half hour later, another company called me and said, would you like to do the same thing? So I said, yeah. I said, well, I'm coming to Japan. I'll be in Japan in 3 days. Why don't you come to my hotel and we'll talk about it?
Mm-hmm.
So the one company flew me down, and then the other company came and met me at the hotel, and they wanted the exact same thing. So I did the exact same thing, and I got the money. But this time was a little smarter. How much you paying me? I said, then I told them, how much you gonna pay me? And then that's when it hit it off. Then after that, the very next year, or the same year, this guy called me, Koji Kawasaki, said, well, how much would you charge for doing 1,000 guys?
Jeez.
1,000? He said, yes, 1,000 guys in a row. I said, well, paid for my trip, paid for my second. And he said, well, what are you going to charge? I said, well, make me an offer. I said, well, we'll give you 10,000 yen. Or sorry, 1 million yen. Sorry, we'll give you 1 million yen.
Mm-hmm.
And if you beat everybody without losing, we'll give you another 1 million yen. So, well, I'm coming. I ain't losing. So I went down, and they had a lineup of all these guys in like in the stadium, like kind of like a hockey rink, and they just curled around. And there was 1,000 guys lined up, and they all had a shirt on, a black shirt, so that every time they came up, they called them my bodyguards. These guys were standing with me. So after arm wrestling, they grabbed their shirts and ripped it. So anyone came up with a ripped shirt, they couldn't come out again. Yeah, they gave out 1,000 shirts.
Wow.
And 1,000 shirts came up without being ripped. And I went through everybody, and I didn't lose. And actually, at 350 arm wrestlers, they said, we want you to beat 5 in a row with one finger. So I said, I want me to beat 5 in a row with one finger, because they saw me doing that. I sent over videos of me beating my kids or something with one finger, and they said, well, at 5 in a row, we want at 350, they want you to do 5 in a row with one finger, and you had to beat them, or else that was part of it.
Wow.
Holy shit. Okay, I'll do it. I ain't gonna lose.
And you did it.
I said, whoever you send up here, I'm gonna beat them all. So they had all these Japanese people lined up, and I had to beat them all.
Was it easy? I mean, I'm thinking about like my arm would be done by like maybe like the
No,
third
it was like,
person.
of course, if I give you 5 pounds and I told you to curl it, you
Uh-huh.
can curl it.
Yeah.
And I said, well, curl it 5 times. Nothing, but do it 1,000 times.
Yeah.
So it was tired. It was tired, and I was just drenched with sweat. It was work. I had to work for it. And after that, I got tendonitis in my elbow and
Oh.
my this and my that. But yeah, I went through it very easy. Had a good time, and that started everything.
Wow. So arm wrestling is what led you into almost basically the UFC, the call.
Yes,
They already knew you were the guy that beat 1,000 people.
yes,
That's
yeah.
awesome. Now your first UFC event, like we talked about, UFC 8. I mean, it was a lot different. You know, it was completely different. I mean, the sport has evolved immensely. And you fought, I believe it was the one with Paul Herrera, right? Was that the
Number
one?
8, UFC 8. Yeah,
That was the elbow,
yes,
the crucifix, and the elbow. I mean, if no one's
yeah,
ever seen that, I mean, if there's any of the highlights of back in the day of the early UFCs, I mean, yours is usually the top one. You have that one. You have, I think it was, what's his name that kicked Mark Coleman, the head kick. You have your knockout. I mean, again, that was some
yeah.
vicious stuff, man. That was very
Elbows,
vicious.
yeah. Yeah, it
Um,
kind of like opened the door for me a lot. Those things.
that
Yeah.
did. Now your preparation when you got the call to UFC and stuff, um, can you go through maybe a little bit more? Explain maybe what was the payment, or was there any contracts when you got there? Like, was there a fight contract, or was just hey you're fighting that night? Because I know there was a couple times back in the day where you would fight multiple times. Correct? I think that was at
Yeah.
one of the nights.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the fights were all the UFC fights. When I went in, it was 8 guys, and then 8 guys, and then you had a champion at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So you fight the first guy, you had to beat him, and you had to beat the second one in order to go to the final match. So it was just a round robin. It just you had to beat your first guy, and it was easier to the first guy because you know what he was doing. You knew, okay, this guy's a wrestler, this guy's a this, so it was easier. But you didn't know who was your second match, and you didn't know who was your third match. So it was harder. So it's harder to prepare for it, but it was just throw it in there. Throw anybody at me, I'll kick their ass because it was too new. This shit was too new. We didn't understand the way how people understand now. Arm bars were arm bars. What the hell is this hoist doing? And nobody knew what that was.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I tried it. I couldn't do it. I tried it again, but because nobody knew how to teach it, nobody knew how to do it.
Yep.
You see it on TV and you try to replicate it, but with yourself, but you can never do it.
It's different. Yeah, it's different. They didn't have the classes. They didn't have the gyms and
No.
stuff like that to teach that back in the day.
Yeah.
Now, again, like we talked about, your first opponent. What was your game plan? Just it's kind of just like wing it. Again, like you said, you can't really game plan
Yeah.
against. It's almost like a blind date. Almost, you just fucking go in.
It's 100%. That's good. I never heard it said that. I never heard that metaphor. But yes, it's like a blind date, completely blind date. You don't know anything. Well, I knew that I was facing Paul Herrera.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I knew. And I heard he was one of Tank's guys, and he was racist. That's what I was told. Mm-hmm. He's racist, and he's one of Tank's guys. And this was given to me to hype me up. So I was, oh, man. There's no racist guy gonna beat me. I can't let him beat me. Mm-hmm. I don't care who beats me, but that racist guy is not beating me. So, it got me pumped up for the match, and it wasn't till the night before that I knew how I was gonna fight that fight. I knew that it was gonna come down to that those elbows, because before, when back in the early days, what they do is they took pictures of everybody, a little skip. Hi, I'm Gary Goodridge. I'm gonna kill you. You know, people just said shit like that.
Uh-huh.
And this guy, he said it. Paul Harris said it, and he went through a fireman's carry. And one person saw him in my group, just kept on shooting, doing like fireman's carry, and over and over and over and over again. He said, Gary, we know what he's gonna do. He's gonna do this fireman carry. So we stayed up all night trying to figure out how to beat that fireman's carry, so that he can't put me down on the ground.
Crucifix.
So then we came up with that. So We came up with that. Okay, he's gonna shoot you and do this and do that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I stayed up all night learning how to do that move that I did. All night I stayed up learning and try to perfect it down. So by the time I fought Paul, I had, you know, it was, by the time I fought him, I've already done it 50, 60 times in a row the night before.
Mm-hmm.
So I was waiting. Had he come out and did anything else, I would have been screwed. So he came in there and punched me in the face or whatever, I would have been screwed. He went
straight shot at you.
He 100% the exact same way, the exact same thing happened that I just practiced 100 times before. The exact same thing. So I caught him, and before it was holding him down and bending his wrist down and make him tap.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, it got switched in my head. Elbow went from wrist down to elbow the shit out of his head. Yeah.
And you didn't stop till the ref. Did you know he was out by this? I think it was the second elbow. He was limp.
No, I didn't know. I couldn't see. I couldn't feel. I just rifle, just ba-ding, 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 ba-ding. Yeah. Just continue.
Again, if you think about it, that was the perfect game plan, correct? Right? It worked to a T, man. 100%.
100%.
That's all. That's always something I always wanted to ask you. Was about that fight. Now, you succumbed that one. You beat him. Then the second round, you fight. He was from Lions Den. I'm trying to remember. His name was Jerry Bolander. Yes.
Yeah. So I had some people scouting Jerry Bolander while the fight was going on. Okay. Well, he's Ken Shamrock's guy. Well, what do you do? I don't know. You just go out there and do it. And I about 2 weeks before I started, before the UFC, I started up with wrestling. All wrestling was doing well because there was nobody to teach me jiu-jitsu. So wrestling's doing well. Let's stick with wrestling. So I went out there with wrestling, and all I knew how to do is when somebody got down to keep their feet by their head, like keep them down, keep their back flat, and keep their feet by the head. So that's what I was doing to him. He went for the ground, and I just powered through him and put his feet by his head and just trying to keep his knees by his ears so I could try to get at him that way. So that's exactly what I did. I hold his knees, but he drained me, man, because he was a Ken Shamrock guy. He knew he had the cardio I didn't even know cardio had anything to do with it. So I went in and I fought with him for 5 minutes, and it was just, man, when I was done, I was tired. So I kept his feet by his head. And because of the first match, I knocked that guy out, and the referee didn't see it. They were right on me for this one. As soon as I hit this guy, they were running to stop it right away because they were afraid.
Yep.
So a good thing, because I was dead. If you can see me swinging my arm, there was just nothing in it. And, I was just beat. So when I walked out of the ring, the gi was just, I couldn't breathe. I had to go back to the room. And as I get in the back room, everyone's like, get him here. And I'm right beside, back then, I don't know what they do now, but they had a set up outside of a ring, and they closed off the room with a curtain.
Like a medical.
Yeah, it was just curtains. And the only difference between your room and the other one room, it's right beside you. It's a curtain blocking you, like a medical.
Okay.
So you're in there. Frye's right beside me. Frye's in the room right beside me. So he's hearing me out. Like, man, get him some air. Then somebody goes, Frye's over there. He matched over there. So they stopped all that shit right away. We stopped it right away. And then I was so exhausted. So I can't breathe.
And Don Frye was your next opponent. He was their third and final.
Don Frye was nice, and he was in the room right beside me, so he can hear everything.
He was listening.
He hears that I can't breathe. He hears that I'm done. He hears that I'm finished, or, because I'm telling him I can't fight. But I'm not doing like this. Like I can barely breathe, so I was getting out a word like one every 10 seconds. I can't breathe, So as I was saying this, I know Frye's laughing, and he's so, like, his confidence is building. So what we did, we stopped that shit right away. And we had target mitts, and this guy started hitting it on his leg. Bang, 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 bang. Okay, Gary, okay, you're doing good. I wasn't doing nothing. I was catching air. And so they smack it on his leg. Bang, 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 bang. Yeah, that's it, man. Okay, yeah, do it again, Gary.
Gary's,
Bang, bang, bang,
Gary's
bang,
breathing
bang.
again. Gary's breathing
Oh,
again.
yeah. So they'd hear the combos, and we assumed their level came down. Rather than being too confident, it came down because I was rifling off them combos.
Hey,
So
you know what?
Yeah.
You know, kudos to whoever was with your trainers and stuff. That's genius.
Yeah.
That is genius, man.
Yeah, it was a friend of mine. I had since grade 3, Mike Mobbs.
Okay.
And he would just grab the pads and bang, 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 or he'd snap them together like just to make the noise that somebody's hitting them. And they just they drugged me out to the ring. Drugged me out there because I could not walk. I was so exhausted. They drugged me out to the ring, and I just said, "Listen, guys, I have 30 seconds, and I'm done." So throwing that, I don't want to tap out because they look like a bitch. I said, throwing the towel after 30 seconds because I'm done. I'm done. I can't even go out there. I can't even walk out there. So they drugged me out the cage. They took off my my gi as I went in because I only wore a gi because Hoist wore a gi and he was winning, so I wore one. So they took off my gi.
Yours was nice. Yours is black, man. I liked it.
Yeah, I didn't know. Yeah. So they took off my gi and I go in the cage. So I'm trying to look like I'm lively, I'm energetic, I'm okay. So I walk into the ring and I guess I got a little burst. That's all, And I had a minute or two, but they wouldn't throw in the towel. They wouldn't throw in the towel till the very end. I had to tap. They made me have the tap rather than them throwing in.
Were you upset with them because they didn't listen to you, or you're kind of just like maybe?
I was just happy it was done. I was just happy it was done.
Now, how long between your first fight compared to your second, and then your second to your third? Was there a good amount of time, or was it kind of
about 20 minutes?
Jesus,
20 minutes, maybe less. 10, 20 minutes. Between the third fight, between the second fight and the third fight, it was very, very quick. They let people go get something to eat and come back to the seats and go.
Wow.
And go. It's the last match. Let's go. And it was rough, man. It was rough. Back in the day, it was rough. 3 fights in one night. Now, if it was that one fight, I would have won. I would have kicked some ass, but I didn't kick some ass that night.
Well, I mean, again, you got that's a hell of a story, man. That's just one night. 3 fights in one night. That is nuts. And then you were right. You were.
Then I had another. I wanted to remember my first time with Pride. My first time with Pride. Like I said, they called me up. The Koji Kawasaki was the booker. So I said the same thing. Well, come on over. We said, well, who are you guys? Well, we run a K1. A Pride event over here, and you will be in the first Pride event, and so on and so forth. So they set up a match, and it's single fights. Yeah, I can do that. Mm-hmm. So your fight is with Oleg Taktarov.
That was a Russian grappler.
Yeah. They told me Oleg Taktarov, but I see him beat the piss out of one dude. Oh, sorry, the Tank out beat the piss out of him, and then he ended up winning, choking him out.
Yeah.
So I said, yeah, he lets people beat the piss out of him. I can do that too. So I thought he lets people beat him up and then he wins. I said, yeah, I'll just try to be a better beater. So we got in the ring to fight, and then I realized he was scared. He was afraid. He wasn't confident, and you can just see it. I saw that his confidence went from a 10 to a 3. From the time I got there till the time we got in the ring.
Maybe he realized how big you were.
I don't know what he realized, but maybe something was hurting him. Maybe he realized how big I was. Maybe. I don't know, but his confidence broke down, and I could see it from the time I first met him till the time we walked in the ring. When I first met him, his confidence was a 10. By the time he walked into the ring, it was a 3. And you saw it. You saw it the whole time through in the because everybody hooks up in the same hotel. You saw it every day. You saw him. It's just his confidence came down. Maybe he had the shits. I don't know. But by the time I walked in the ring, I knew I had to beat his ass, and I knew he was going to let me beat him and then come out and win. So we're fighting. I end up kicking him in the face. He went down on the ground. He kind of butt scoop and fight, like how the jiu-jitsu guys do. And they walk on their butts for you to attack them so they can get you whole. He started butt scooping and doing that stuff to me. And then he was letting me beat him, so I beat him. And then I stood up and kicked him in the face and broke my foot. I kicked him in the face and broke my foot. And I ended up, how did I end up winning? I can't even remember how I won that match.
I think the referee stopped it. The referee stopped it because of the cuts.
Yeah, he had bad cuts, and he got a kick in the face. And he was done. He was done. By the time he got in the ring, he was done.
Yeah. So you can. It's almost like you can sense it. Almost. It's almost
you
like
can see it. Yeah, you can see it. Listen to Mike Tyson when he talks about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he says when you get to the ring, you blow up, and you can watch it as you blow up. You see your opponent come down, and my confidence was on 110.
Mm-hmm.
When his confidence, you can see his confidence was barely out of the 10. You know, you can see it, you can feel it. It smelled bad of fear. So I knew I was going to beat his ass.
Definitely. When you were again, because you spent a little bit of time in UFC. You were in UFC 8, 9, and I believe 10, correct?
Yes.
And the last fight in your UFC was against Don Frye, right? If I'm not. No, who was?
My last fight was UFC was 18, UFC 18, 8, 9, 10, and 18. Yeah, I believe so. Ultimate 96, and then 18. Yeah.
And you decided from that on you were going to take your talent to Pride?
No, they called me. I was going wherever the money was.
Okay.
They called me.
And a good question for that is, what was at that time? What was UFC paying you that a night? Unless it's not a night. I mean, I don't know if they pay you for every fight that you were in, or it's just all in one shot. How much were they paying you at that time?
Well, the first night I fought for them, I won. I got $10,000, which was more money than I ever made doing anything else for one night. So what they just I went into that fight. Minimum was 2,500.
Okay.
First place after 3 guys. If you beat out all 3 guys, you got 50,000. Second place is 10,000.
Okay.
Third place is 2,500, something stupid like that.
Okay. So once Pride, right?
Yeah.
Once Pride hit, you spent a good amount of your career in Pride. I think you spent 6 years almost?
No, I spent longer than that.
Longer than that?
Pride, yeah, about 6 years, yeah.
Yeah, right? Yeah, now Pride, did you have to adjust with the ring compared to an octagon? Now, some people would say it had its advantage. Some people said they didn't really care if it was the cage or an octagon. I mean, a cage or a ring. They didn't mind. Now, did you have to kind of switch your style when going?
No, because my background came from boxing.
Okay.
So I found that how the cage limited you. You couldn't run away from somebody. In a boxing ring, you can. You can move and maneuver, and people try to cut you in the corner. It's easier to move out of it. In the cage, you can't move and you can't go nowhere. It keeps going around and around and around. Boxing, you can cut off. I like to be able to cut off people. Yeah, it was the same. It was the same, but it was just different. When I went and when I won the IBC tournament, they had a ring, but they had mesh at the bottom. So if you're on the ground, you would stop at the edge of the ring, so you can continue fighting. That's how they made the ring okay.
Gotcha. Now, of all your battles, and I mean, you fought Fedor, you fought Don Frye again. What would be your most memorable fight in your opinion?
Everybody. Yeah.
What would be your memorable fight? Something that you look back and be like, yeah, that was a really, really good battle, or something that still to this day you're like, yeah, that's one that kind of defined me, or not defined me, but you still have good memories of the fight.
Yeah, I liked My last fight with Don Frye, I love this guy first to begin with. Don Frye was he's a good friend of mine. We became really good friends. I really enjoyed the fight with Don Frye. And the other big one that I fought was a guy named Blabe Fatoza in UFC, in K1, because I lost him both times, but it brought me from a child to a man. In terms, can you hey guys, I'm on the phone. All right, good. It brought me from a child to a man in terms of the it's just when I fought, it was just I mean, I lost this guy twice, but because it was so hard, it was like leg kicks are dangerous. And they had a lot of pain. Oh my god! And just I went through the war and back on those fights, but by the time I was finished, I was so glad that I made it. It was it's like crawling up Mount Everest on your fingernails rather than your hands.
Yeah.
It was just a tough thing. It was, oh man, it's the most painful sport there is. There's nothing more painful than that.
Definitely. Now, when you you retired in Pride and then you came back for K1.
Yeah.
Back in the day at Pride, were you thinking that was it? That was you were done? But what kind of gave you that itch to come back and fight, especially K1?
When I came back in K1, like I said, when people called me, that's where I went. That's what I did. People called me and said, "Gary, do you want to fight?" I said, "Yeah, I want to fight. Let's do it." So I set it up, and away I went.
Gotcha.
A lot of fun. Had a lot of fun.
That's good, man. It's an honor to especially talk to a UFC veteran and legend. I mean, again, you were there from the very beginning and stuff like that. And as I talk to these fighters nowadays, and they don't agree with the pay they're getting now, with some of the fighters. What do you think of that? I see your
I laugh at it because the pay you're getting now. I mean, we used to work our balls. We used to work our asses off. We worked our asses off just to get a dollar or two. But of course, we started. Back when I started, they had the tough man competition. You ever heard of those?
Yeah.
Where they threw people in the ring, give them 18-ounce boxing gloves, and go beat the piss out of each other. And that was so I was waiting. Pardon me. I was waiting for one of them to happen, and it never did. I was waiting. I wanted so bad to do one of those because I knew a little bit about boxing, and I thought it was tough. So I wanted to do one. And then UFC came up, so it was tough. It's a tough game, man. And then you get paid pennies for it. Back then it was good. It wasn't great money. I mean, it wasn't like boxing, but it was okay money. So people are scrambling now because they got 50,000. Let's still do it again for 50,000. We got paid, and you get paid according to what's going on. A lot of people watch it. That's why Conor made money. He could generate people to watch it. People either hated him or they loved him, but they wanted to see him get his ass kicked or wanted to kick ass. So you get paid according to that, So if a card gets big with me on it, then I made more money, So I don't understand people when they're angry with Conor. Conor made 200-something million. Yeah. He worked for it, he worked for it.
Yeah, there's been a couple fighters on my show that didn't like. Not that, it's just that again, if you're not bringing in the money for the UFC, then they kind of not shun you, but they look, which makes sense. I mean, if you're making money and you're helping the company, obviously they're gonna promote you. They're gonna
pay a bigger dollar.
Yeah,
they'll pay bigger dollars, and you'll be there more. So if I'm making $1,000 more having you there, as opposed to everybody else I make $200 on,
Yep.
I'm making 1,000 if you're there. I'm gonna pay you a little more so you come work.
Yep. Keep coming.
Makes sense.
Gotcha. It does make sense. Again, what does Mr. Gary Goodridge do now?
No,
Yeah, what do you do now, man?
I sit at home and watch TV, and COVID says so. I used to walk quite a bit. I don't do nothing. I'm retired. I don't do nothing. And on top of that, I got in a car accident. Now I never got hurt in fighting. Never got hurt in fighting. Never broke nothing. Never got hurt. I mean, superficial. I got cuts and scratches and scrapes and stitches, but I basically never hurt myself. But I got into a car accident not too long, about 7 years ago now, after I stopped, and I jacked my shoulders up. I can't do a lot of things. Arm wrestling, not at all. And I was hoping to go back into arm wrestling after I finished fighting.
Oh, really?
But yeah, now I just watch TV. Take it easy, brother.
Well, again, you had
Get one of those little, yeah, babe. Sorry, get one of those little things for me so I can little mouse things. The bag. The little bag that they eat. Thank you. Sorry.
What bag are you getting?
I want a little mouse bag that they eat. Remember you gave it to me before. Yeah. Yes. Well,
what I did is I filled up all your base stations.
All right.
So you
Good, sir. Thank you. Sorry.
No,
Sorry.
that's fine. I mean, the wife's talking. You gotta listen, right?
Yeah.
But again, you like I said, you had an epic career. I mean, people love you. I mean, I know when I mentioned that I was gonna talk to you on people from like Twitter. I have a Twitter group. They really, really love your motivational quotes and stuff. I do too. I mean, they're really good and stuff. I mean, that's awesome, man. I mean,
Well, Twitter, I used to, I still do suffer a little bit of depression. So how I get over it, or how I feel good when I help people. I feel good if I put something out nice and somebody else likes it. And I get comments all the time. Gary, this is awesome, man. I feel shitty and I feel better today. And, that makes me feel good.
That's awesome.
When you help somebody, it helps you.
Definitely.
You gotta give,
I agree. And again, I mean, I'm more than thankful for you coming on, man. You understand, even the time given. I mean, I know time is precious, and I know, and you have your wife there and stuff like that. But I do thank you from the bottom of my heart for even showing up and talking. Again, people are gonna love this. People are gonna love this episode, and I
love this too.
I do appreciate, man, everything that you did. Big fan, and I just hope everything goes well for you, and God bless, man. I really do.
No
man.
problem. You like your job?
This is not my job. This is my hobby.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But do you like your job?
I don't mind it. It pays the bills,
There you go. See, the thing with you and me, and the thing with me and a lot of people, millions, billions of people, I love my job. There's nothing better than curling up your hand and punching somebody in the face as hard as you can. I loved it. I was good at it. I was good at punching people in the face. I was good at getting a punch. Mm-hmm. And that was a downfall. Nobody can like getting punched. You got to miss him. But I liked it. A lot of people like the combat by one-on-one. It's like playing chess. Really, I do this move and you do this. I set you up to do this move. You set me up to do that move. And man, there's nothing. It's just it's so real. It's just the cutting edge. It's just real. It's a real stuff. It's so I like it. I loved it. I loved going and testing myself as what I knew and how I learned and your mentality. What you can take, what you can give. Sometimes you get like in K1, it got beat the piss out of. People beat the crap out of you. And it hurts. It's just excruciating pain when you get kicked over and over and over again in the leg, and take that pain and you keep going. It's just it builds character.
It really does.
It builds character.
It really does, man. And again,
character, confidence, everything. Yeah.
It kind of proves to yourself, but it kind of are you one that could just it's fight or flight, right? Are you gonna fight? Or are you gonna? I mean, that could also, you know, mess some people up too, as well as just like their
Yes.
mentality, them thinking and stuff. It could break down the
Yeah.
fight.
Yeah. I never wanted the top.
Never.
That's it. I never wanted the top. So when I first got in the UFC, I topped against Don twice, and I can't remember. I think I was it. But after that, I learned, no, I ain't topping. You got to beat me. You got to take me out.
Mm-hmm. That was the mentality. I mean, that's the mentality, man. You had.
Yeah.
Again, just want to say thank you. It's been a pleasure, man. It's been fun talking to you, man. This is one of the fun episodes I had. I do appreciate you, man. You're, again, like I said, you're original OG. You're an OG, man. Big Daddy.
No problem. The pleasure's all yours.
Hey, man, I do appreciate it. Thank you so much, man.
No problem.